19 COVID Stories. A concerted effort. August 2020. I would like to find the organizer of this so-called concert and stick my bow right up his arse. Gavin Sinclair, first violin for the local symphony orchestra, dressed in black jacket and bow tie, was sitting on a camp chair on the small, cluttered balcony of his town apartment. As he removed his instrument from its case, he continued his complaints into the webcam on his open laptop, propped up on the rickety camping table opposite. I mean, what's the point? The four of us are playing separately from our homes to no audience. It's not being streamed or filmed or anything. Each of us is simply playing from our balcony into thin air. Think of it as a rehearsal. Dang Chekak, sitting on the matting floor of his own balcony 6 kilometers away, gently struck the different copper bowls that made up the gamelan laid out in front of him. It's symbolic. Mawusa Umgaga's fingers were gently tuning the strings of the kora, causing passers-by in the quiet street of the quarter where she lived to look up and smile. More like symbolics, muttered Gavin moodily. Gavin, my friend, karma is obviously not your thing. Pandit Karim winked into the webcam and continued tightening the skin stretched over the top of the tabla drum in front of him. He was rather looking forward to irritating his neighbour downstairs, who complained continually not only about the drumming, but also about the smell of curry. Gavin irritably pulled down his bow tie to make room for the violin under his chin. I also don't see why we have to be dressed up. It's not as if anyone can see us. Mawusa was wearing a brightly coloured kente headscarf. It is still a performance, a ritual. It demands dignity. And your bow tie is crooked, Gavin, added Dang, dressed in a gold batik shirt, which makes you look like a complete prick. Pandit was smoothing down the sleeves of his elegant black Pantani pyjamas. The whirring fanfare of a Skype connection caught the attention of the four musicians, who all glanced up at the webcams on their open laptops as the face of their conductor, Tsing Li, popped into view. A Concert for Corona, Prayers to the Sky, was the Department of Culture's latest attempt to solve the problem posed for live music by the ever more stringent regulations regarding social distancing and isolation. The first attempt, a performance of Mahler's Fourth Symphony, streamed live out of an empty auditorium in which the entire orchestra, including wind and brass instruments, sat in face masks with an exactly measured 150 centimeters between each orchestra member, was a lifeless flop. With the policy of total lockdown came a series of solo concerts, streamed online from the homes of soloists in the orchestra. These recitals in seclusion, however, with their thin sound quality and stark interior lighting, only intensified feelings of isolation in anyone unfortunate enough to be watching and listening to them. A 40-minute clarinet solo had been particularly harrowing. After an urgent video conference, the city's Department of Culture unveiled its solution: a concert for Corona, Prayers to the Sky. A quartet made up of musicians from different musical cultures, yet all living in the same city, were to perform a piece specially written by the conductor of that city's symphony orchestra, Tsing Li. The four musicians, each in their own district of the city, but connected per Skype to the conductor, would play as an ensemble, whilst remaining isolated on the balconies of their apartments. This meant the instruments would not be heard playing together as an entity, the fragmentation supposedly encapsulating the experience of lockdown. The fact that the musicians came from and represented different cultures would reflect the multicultural and universal experience of the worldwide lockdown. Gavin always balanced his moaning with the occasional compliment to his conductor. "It's a beautiful piece of music, Mr. Lee. It seems such a waste. Surely we can perform it at a hospital or something. Rather than bringing order, the appearance of their silent conductor, Tsing Li, appeared to only throw the quartet into further discord. Dang, visibly irritated, kept repositioning the copper bowls of his gamelan. Can you imagine a classical string quartet being told to perform this pseudo-spiritual ceremony? I think not, my friends. It's esoteric racist bullshit. Listen to yourself, Dang. Pandit was still tightening his timbre drum, running his large, callous hands over the skin. Shall I tell you how many timbre players there are in my hometown of Kashun? Bloody hundreds, and they're all piss poor. Here, I am the only tabla player in town, and it pays me very well. I can take a little esoteric racist bullshit. So calm down, Dang, and keep sorting out your gamelan. Don't you tell me to calm down. I'm a Buddhist, you bastard. No, Dang, Pandit's right. Gavin was tweaking the keys on the neck of his violin. It's no different for a string quartet. Do you know, before the lockdown, who we played our last concert for? The fucking Deaf. This is more than a concert. Mawusa Umgaga's calm interjection silenced the other players. She was seated, rather regally, behind the kora with its long, elegant wooden neck. Look where we are. Everyone's scared. There is no cure for this virus, no explanation, only speculation. Some people get it, some people don't. Some people die, some people don't. So, all we have is faith, blind faith. I'm sorry, Mawusa, I think you've lost me. Pandit ceased running his hand over the top of the drum and waited for further explanation. Don't you see? We're back where we started. We're sat at the fire in a cave singing and drumming to the gods. That is the origin of music. When we're desperate, this is what we go back to. Not to a concert, but to a ceremony. Well, thank you for that, Mawusa. Gavin rested the violin on his knee. Now I've finished tuning up, I'll get started painting that mammoth on my balcony wall. Both Pandit and Dang burst out laughing. If your drawing's anything like your violin playing, Gavin, I'd recommend crayons. The laughter and banter were interrupted by the delicate, patient tapping of their conductor's thin baton on the lid of his laptop. Their instruments ready, all four musicians concentrated their gaze on his relaxed yet sombre features on their screens. Tsing Li gracefully lifted the baton to start them on their shared yet separate musical journey. Over the next 40 minutes, on a street in the south of the city, the strumming of the Ghanaian kora could be heard. On a corner in the western district, the staccato tapping of an Indian tabla was audible. Residents in an attractive square to the north listened to the soaring tones of an Italian violin, and those living in an apartment block to the east stopped what they were doing to listen to the beautiful jangled clang of a Balinese gamelan. The last note of the piece, rather than fading to silence, was cut short by the sudden clicking noise caused by a shaky Skype connection. Gavin was the first to speak. My God, I'm knackered. Well, Mr. Lee, I've no idea what we did to it, but that is a beautiful piece of music. A beautiful piece of music, echoed Mawusa, gazing off wistfully. Mr. Lee smiled modestly and nodded his head slowly, betraying a little tiredness. Yes, this was an excellent rehearsal, and one day we will play it in front of a live audience, beamed Dang straight into his webcam. Until then, who's for a drink? Obviously I can't offer you one, but who says we stay online for a bit? I could do with some unwinding. Gavin, why are you wearing only your underpants? The violinist, standing up in front of his webcam, had revealed a red pair of Y-fronts below his black jacket. Because I'm only getting half dressed for a half-assed idea. And yet, perhaps, unbeknown to the players, Their individual efforts had in fact reached someone, somewhere, just for a few moments as a single musical entity. Perhaps, thanks to the dynamics of air pressure and wind direction, the effect of urban planning on the movement of sound waves, the fact that the window on the top floor of the south-facing side of a particular apartment house in the center of the city was open, allowed the melodies produced by the different instruments to unite briefly and comfort an 85-year-old widow, self-isolating and dying in her bed. Perhaps. A concert for Corona, Prayers to the Sky, would never be performed in front of a live audience.